Good evening, class. Tonight I'm going to be talking to you about Nancy Hart. She was a Revolutionary War hero from Georgia, and she has been left out of history books from time to time. And I don't think that she's quite found her place. I know in Georgia's history standards that we teach to our 8th grade students, she's been in the standards. They've recently taken her back out. And then there's the debate as to what role she played, how much of her story is actually true. Nancy Hart was actually born either in Pennsylvania or North Carolina, and her actual name was Anne Morgan. Um, she got the name Nancy as a nickname. Um, Nancy Hart was said to have been 6 feet tall, redhead, cross-eyed, fearless frontier woman. She was an excellent shot. In fact, the Cherokee had named her as a woman. And there are several myths, legends that surround Nancy Hart and her life during the Revolutionary War. One was that she would dress up as a man and stumble her way into the British camps, gain information which she would relay back to her husband in the Patriot Army. There is also the myth, legend that she fought in the Battle of Kettle Creek alongside Elijah Clark. However, the one legend that she is most famous for deals with a group of Tories that came upon her house, killed her last turkey, and demanded that she cook it for them. So, as she was getting things prepared, she sent her daughter out to get some water and told her daughter that when she got out that she needed to go blow the conch horn in order to alert the neighbors that the British were at their home. And while the soldiers were drinking and eating, um, she began slowly sneaking their guns outside one by one. Now, Nancy had just thought early on that if she provided them with some corn whiskey, then they would get a little inebriated and she'd have an advantage over them. But as she was sneaking the guns out, she got about 3 of them out, and a British soldier realized that she had been sneaking the guns out, hollered at her, stood up, went towards her, where she then pulled the gun up towards him. He didn't stop, so she shot him. But she was able to hold them at bay until her husband and neighbors got there. Her husband just wanted to shoot them. However, Nancy said, "No, that's too good for them. They need to be hung." And so they were hung at a tree down from there. The first printed story of Nancy Hart against the Tories was in the Milledgeville Southern Recorder in 1825. However, it was printed there, but has been left out of historical books from that were written after it. W. H. Sparks, his Memories of 50 Years, did not include Nancy's story. Charles Collick Jr., The History of Georgia, also left out Nancy's story. Garrett Andrews, Reminiscences of a Georgia Lawyer. He actually lived in the county where Hart was at, and his recollections go back to 1808, and he failed to include her as well. Now, whether he didn't include her because she was a woman or there was no proof of her story, they felt that her story was stretched too thin, that is not known. In Deborah Michaels' article of Nancy Hart, she said in 1912, workmen grading for a railroad near the site of Hart's cabin unearthed a neat row of 6 skeletons and were estimated to have been buried for a century. The discovery of the skeletons were very crucial because now this gives evidence to validate Nancy Hart's story. The legend of Nancy Hart is still debatable by some today as to how much is true. However, the great state of Georgia has honored Nancy by establishing a county named after her, the only county in the state named after a woman, a city, and lakes and highways, so her memory will live on.